We're starting at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so. Ladies and gentlemen, just before we start the meeting, for those who can stand, could you please stand for a minute's silence for the day?
It's a run out, isn't it?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You are hereby summoned to attend an extraordinary meeting of Hemsworth Town Council to be held in the Council Chambers, Hemsworth Town Council Community Centre, Bullenshaw Road, Hemsworth, commenced at 7 PM on the 8th of May 2025 for the purpose of transacting the following business. Item number 1, apologies for absence.
Councillor Oginade and Bacon.
Item number 2, declarations of interest. Item number 3, annual meetings 2025, to approve 22nd of May as the date for the annual town meeting and the 29th of May as the date of the annual council meeting. I'll like to move that. Have I got a seconder?
I would check dates to make sure there's no else going on them days, holidays, anything important. Well, it's like today, it's the E-Day. I would check that these 2 dates have got nothing going on.
As far as I'm aware.
As far as I'm aware, yes. So, I'd propose to move on with a seconder. Seconded. All for?
Would you like a recorded vote?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay, bear with me then, please.
You want recorded votes for everything that's on the agenda, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got told I couldn't do it though via email. What's the problem? It's unanimous, isn't it?
Can't see.
What's the problem? It's unanimous, isn't it?
Well, can't see if Kev's got his hand up or not.
I'm abstaining because I think this should have been sorted out last year.
Oh, fair enough then, yeah.
I don't even know it. Like
So last year we deferred it till this time of meeting. I remember this discussion. So item number 4, to retrospectively approve taking a loan to cover the cash flow to the year end. This is related to the £10,000. It was referred to council at the appropriate time. So I propose that we approve it respectively.
Are you asking us to vote on a loan that's already been took out then?
We've done it before.
That's what retrospective means.
We've not we've asked for stuff regarding this loan and not come back to us. Contract, standing orders. I admire you for what you've done, but you stated in council that yourself, Becca and Andrew all agreed to it. You had no right to agree to it because you
As soon as I was lending money, I had every right to
No,
agree to it.
you don't, Sean. You've got an investor.
conflict of
It's
interest.
it's against standing orders. You've got a conflict of interest.
If I had a conflict of interest, on a 0% increase, what interest have I got as a conflict?
But you shouldn't have been voting on it.
I'm
Can I have that noted down on
I'm
minutes,
gonna move-
please, Andrew?
Vicky?
Sorry, I've what noted down. Sorry.
That Sean shouldn't have voted. He had a conflict of interest.
No, it's up to individual councillors to declare a conflict, to declare a.
So it's right that
declaration
Sean
of
puts it
interest.
forward and votes on it to be passed?
It's up to individual councillors to declare a conflict of interest. It's not for me to
We've
comment.
actually had it in previous meetings
Yeah.
where the chairperson's actually done something and not declared a pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest.
So, thank you, Kathy.
And I actually checked that with Wakefield, and it's as Andrew's actually said, it's up to the individual councillor to whether they want to declare it or not.
So, thank you, Kathy. A pecuniary interest is where me or my immediate family would make financial gain. I am not making no financial gain out of this. In fact, I've lost probably £5 interest.
We're not saying you.
So
I'm not saying
I have not
you're
got pecuniary interest, which is financial. Non-pecuniary, I could say that, Vicky slow vote, non-pecuniary.
Yeah.
Vicky, you had to hand up first and I'll come
It
back to you.
could be seen as trying to buy votes in future.
It could be seen to making sure staff were paid. And I also did comment in the meeting before, and it was public and it's recorded, where I did say, if it comes to it, I'll make sure staff get paid. So it's not like I was hiding it. Vicky?
So you went through all different channels
Yes.
to check that everything was up and above board. I know you did that. So you did all that to make sure that what you were doing wasn't going against anything.
I will declare a non-pecuniary interest. However, that doesn't mean I can't vote on this matter.
Oh no, I'm not on about this. Let me rephrase that, Sean. In last meeting, you stated, if I'm wrong, but I know I'm not, you stated that you, Becca, and Andrew.
And another member of staff.
No, you just mentioned
Okay,
your
well, there was no member of staff.
But you didn't say that, Sean.
Oh,
You just said there were your
sorry.
three, and that you're agreed on this loan. Were you giving the loan? You shouldn't have been in that agreement pack.
What would you sooner do? Would you sooner councillors were down then? Is that what it is?
Excuse me,
Hang on.
end it
Hey,
there.
don't-
He put his hand up. Chair,
Can we keep it
where did
down?
he put his hand
Can
up
we
to
keep
butt
it
in?
down? I've not said anything to him.
Well, a word with him
Maxine.
then. That someone tells us to butt out.
If it's an emergency,
It can go.
The chair and the vice chair can do it and then come to council.
Yeah, as we are doing.
Thank you. That's
So
all I
in
need
this
to
case,
know.
the vice chair agreed, and I've obviously signed a little agreement. So I'm going to
As long as it
move.
comes to council, it's
Yeah,
fine.
so we've got a big agenda here. I've declared a non-pecuniary interest. I'm going to push time because we've got a lot to talk about. So I'm going to propose that it's accepted. Have I got a seconder?
I'll second it.
All four? All against? And then abstentions? Yeah, motion carried. So item number 5, external audit. To consider the responses to the external auditor. Now, councillors have all received the clerk's suggested responses. There was a meeting where some councillors turned up last night to discuss these and put any questions back to the clerk, which was done. How do councillors want me to proceed with this? Do you want me to go through just ones the people going to bring up themselves, or do you want me to go through each point in turn?
I'd go through each point.
Okay, well, as I've said as well, this is going to be a long meeting, so we're dealing with facts here, not people's opinions, and things will move on pretty quickly. So, objection 1. Failure to approve earmark reserves during 2023-24 assertion 1. The response is HGC did not hold any earmarked reserves that year. Item F, these letters we're reading are relate to what are on the email. And just remind council as well that even though the person has made it known publicly who has done this, that we are not allowed to say what is. So item F, the failure to monitor the council's financial performance against budget in accordance with proper practices and its financial regulation and standing orders leading to a 33% overspend against budget, of which you assert that members were unaware until after the year end. The The response to this has been considered and the Finance Committee now receives a quarterly budget update. Carol?
That's wrong.
No, the council others. So,
Finance have not received quarterly budget update,
Yeah, it's on the minutes that we have. So,
but we aren't.
so in your response, Andrew's reply saying he's now.
As I mentioned last night when we discussed it, I can't verify it, that the Finance Committee has received reports, because the 18th of the 7th meeting, the budget report was deferred. On the 23rd of the 1st, 25, no minutes were received.
Andrew responded to the questions we asked and he's explained.
If you let me finish, please. And on the 17th of the 4th, 25th, no minutes were noted. There's just the agendas on there.
As Andrew,
I know that there has been a response,
yes,
and the minutes have been printed and they were going to be put on.
Yes.
But as of last night, I didn't know that.
No,
that's why
I brought it up. But as I say, it's been explained that it is there. Will be put on the system, and it is. Already in the folder.
Yeah,
already in the folder for the evidence that we have for that.
Right.
Item G, the Council's 24-25 budget and precept setting process, since the level of general reserves was set below 3 months' worth of operating cost in breach of the Council's financial regulations. The 2024-25 budget included, they're saying they didn't include a provision for putting extra money into the reserves. The response is this has been considered and
this one, yeah.
Yeah. The 24-25 budget included a provision for increasing reserves. That's the new one we've just.
Am I correct in saying nothing was put back into?
So we're agreeing nothing was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that what I mean?
Yeah. Is that going to be added to it? That nothing was.
Yeah. No. The budget.
Previous years.
Both years actually. This year and last year's included a provision for increasing reserves.
Yeah, there was a provision
in the previous year. It
reserves,
didn't happen.
but
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Okay, so yeah, you change that to yeah.
Has that been amended?
The question
so
is
the 2024-25 budget, which is the current year budget,
yeah,
which was set in 23-24, which is the year under review.
Yes.
It included a provision for increasing reserves. The year hasn't happened yet, so it's.
The year hasn't happened yet, so we don't have to be put back in, but the provision is there.
In 2020, we're looking at 23-24.
This is saying 24-25.
That's.
This is from the person's responses themselves.
It says 23-24.
It was brought up as well last night that we think that
is that right?
date is wrong. It should be 23-24.
I believe. Well, that's what it says in this document, and I believe it's because that is the year. The budget for that year was set during the year which is under review, which is 23-24.
Yes.
It was set during that year, which is the year which is under review.
Yes, all that was.
During that year,
you are correct. It didn't. They didn't put money reserves, but there was the thing there. So item I, the council's failure to appoint an RFO after the town clerk RFO was suspended in July 2023.
Just be careful not to tread on too much on staffing.
Okay.
Can share with that, but you can read that out.
So the council appointed an acting clerk who held the role of RFO.
That's incorrect.
That's not incorrect.
It is incorrect.
We can't. Sorry.
I will be testifying that it is not correct. I was part of the discussion.
No, don't sit. No.
So there's things that we can't discuss here, but I will clarify that.
Can I just quote what's in our minutes?
How can we vote on it if we can't speak about it?
On our minutes.
Because I don't want people to go out of here and then come back in just to say something that I need to say. There is evidence. There is evidence that yes, he was.
No, there isn't.
There is. Okay.
Can I read out?
Let's just say it was contractual.
No.
You can say no all you want. The evidence is in a contract.
We enrolled an acting clerk.
Yeah.
Well,
signed
the
a
role.
contract.
I thought you didn't know, no, yeah.
No, we've never said that. You did? No, I didn't.
I'm gonna stop the conversation on this because it's getting into the realms of GDPR.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, as long as it don't
Oh, you say what
The
you want.
person that was
active.
brought in actually made a statement in a meeting when he was looking at removing
Yeah, that's just, yeah, but yeah, just,
and he said he had the authority to do that himself, not involve anyone else.
Yeah.
That
Make it
was
an
his
RFO.
words.
yeah.
That's
So-
his,
clerk.
that's
So
his role as a clerk.
That's,
I
we've got,
would
we've, so,
question that, Carol.
so we have evidence, there is evidence, it's in a folder, it's in black and white, it's there. So, move on.
Andrew,
Talking about
can,
a signed contract.
Can
Andrew,
we move on?
can I give you this later on? Because this needs looking at,
Can I? make
because
one-
this is our minutes.
Can I make one?
There is a
further-
signed piece of paper that says it is, so,
Yeah, and our minutes are different.
And also, it's in the chat.
yeah.
There it is.
Quickly, because I said we need to move on.
Yeah, would it not be required that the RFO is on the bank mandate?
As I said, if the person was not on the mandate, that was up to the person at the time who was responsible, which would have been the clerk.
An RFO should be on the bank mandate, should it
It
not?
would certainly be good practice, yeah, or poor practice not, sir, but it wouldn't be a legal requirement.
So just because you're not on it doesn't mean you're not. Item L, income discrepancies between the amount recorded in the accounts and the, no, from
J.
J, sorry.
No, you've just done,
Transfer from reserve.
J, transfer from reserves carried out by officers who delegate authority or council approval and therefore not in accordance with the financial regulations. This was permitted by the financial regs at the time, provided it was reported to the council subsequently, and we've asked for a amendment to that, haven't we?
but it wasn't, yeah, but
It could have been more timely.
It wasn't reported back until the 10th of the 10th when we had an extraordinary meeting regarding the AGAR.
Yes, so it wasn't done in the time.
In a timely manner.
I think the wording is as soon as possible, as in the next meeting.
So next item, K, the council's failed to ratify appointment of the current town clerk after the appointment on February 24. Again, we need to be careful what we say here. Well, can you read that out?
you can read that out.
The interview panel appointed the clerk and the chair, vice chair and HR consultant to approve the successful probation as confirmed by the letter to the clerk dated 30th of 1st, 2024.
I've just, one question on that. That's the day you were offered, Joe.
It's the date of the letter.
It want your probation.
Right, so the letter, which is dated 30th of the 1st, 24, outlines the procedure. It makes it clear that the decision will be made by the chair, vice chair and the HR consultant.
On a probationary.
Yes, on a probationary period, yeah.
Can we have that stated again, because it were on Facebook that just you appointed him as clerk.
I was part of an interview panel, I weren't the chair at the time.
There were never an interview panel.
No, there was, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to stop that. There wasn't an interview panel, there was myself, Vicky, Ian and Carol and Stan on the interview panel, so it wasn't an interview panel. Okay, so item L, income discrepancies between the amount recorded in the accounts and the VA return figures 23-24 of approximately £80,000. The response is there is no discrepancy. Again, I'm just moving back evidence for that.
Yeah, the accounts balance.
Accounts balance.
Can we check that as well, because
We've got evidence for that.
auditor said otherwise.
Okay, check that.
Yeah, just check it.
Which auditor?
We haven't
It's in now.
Item M, so item M. They fail to comply with financial regulations and proper practices in relation to the review of the bank reconciliation by members of the council. Yes, we so agree with that. Suggest that the council rectify this by introducing the process to council / committee meetings.
Town council.
Town council.
Or finance committee.
Yeah.
I feel horrible saying, you're talking jackpot for this year in 2023.
We're agreeing it didn't happen,
Yeah.
and we're saying this is what we're doing to resolve it.
Yeah, so
But you're supposed to be answering what you've done for 2023 and 24 to resolve these things.
No, answering what we're doing now to resolve these things.
So when we get AGAR for this year,
yeah, the auditor will ask to see if the auditor will ask what's been done to rectify any negative assertions. So that would be one of those.
I think when will be a crucial point.
As stated, what year this is, we're all aware. Item N, the failed council review its investment strategy during 2023-24 in accordance with proper practices. This wasn't reviewed by the council in 23-24 and should be reviewed annually.
Yeah, I can't see any evidence that it was reviewed.
So I think we sort of need to
it wasn't
a meeting per month, whatever it is, we'll pick a meeting and say that from now on we'll get that meeting. Item O, the approval process of the AGAR due to lack of information and time provided, including the fact that the internal auditor's report was received 1 day prior to the approval of the AGAR on 27th of June 24 and did not provide members with sufficient time or information to consider it prior to the approval of the AGAR. Also, you assert that there was no discussion regarding responses to the assertion section 1. So again, this will be for members to consider.
Yes,
so again, obviously we need to get it earlier.
We need to get the information.
Need to get the information earlier.
With the agenda at least. Because
Not before.
See if the AGAR is so serious, we need as much time as possible.
So I think we've already said we need to get that out there.
I think it's 14 days, isn't it?
Many times.
I'm not sure. Is it 14 days to review the
For your annual
AGAR
meeting.
for annual meetings?
Sorry,
all information's to be for your AGAR. So, like this says, it will just we had 1 day.
Yeah.
It should be 14 days. We should have had all that 14 days prior to going into a meeting. We should have had every information.
I'm not sure it's 14 days, but
I think the issue for members to consider here, Chair, is do they agree with that objection or not?
Yeah,
well,
we've
yeah,
got
I
to.
think we do agree with that because
Yeah.
it did happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it did happen.
Chair, can I just make a point?
Yeah.
All these objections, I believe, obviously you can't mention the person, but the person has actually been slagged off left, right and centre, but it's right to explain, they are a fully qualified financial
We
advisor.
don't know that, council, don't we?
We do know that.
And also, the council coming by you saying that you are then indicating who the person is. So
I'm not mentioning nobody, only that.
no, we need to stop that line.
No,
you
they are
are
fully
making it
qualified.
more identifiable who that
Right,
person
right.
is. So
Right, did they
please stop
submit
that.
these objections to you before they did to Little John's? And if that information was not coming to them, she would have never put them to Little John's.
That is incorrect. So I have an email where on what Carol told me and Ian told me, I sent an email and she says, you seem to have the impression that I'm not going to report this to the Little Johns.
You just revealed the gender. You get
They said, I do apologise, I didn't say, but they said that I'm under the impression that they're going to, if we discuss it with her in a meeting, she will not report this to Little Johns. And she says, yes, I'm still going forward with that. So no, incorrect. So to move on,
You still got the email where they said, I will show you my qualifications.
I'm moving
You
on.
refuse. It says, doing that, what your answer to that? Well, we're going to buy you then, so you can't come up and bring you the qualifications.
I'm moving on.
Right.
I'm moving on.
Move on.
Yeah, shut it down.
Not shutting down, that's your job. So objection 2. Failed to comply with financial regulations during the year as follows, and in addition to those issues including objection 1. The bank mandate was not updated following the May 23 election, and the changes to the bank arrangements have not been recorded as being approved by the council following May 23 election. That is correct. The bank mandate has now been updated.
But it wasn't done.
It wasn't done at the time, but it has now been updated.
I'd like to clarify that. I only just signed the forms 2 weeks ago
So
to have it updated, but it hasn't been updated as of yet because it hasn't been ratified.
It's not meant to go council.
It doesn't need to go full council because we was asked to want to be on the mandate at a meeting a while ago. The council put the hands up.
And none of councillors have had a reply.
I've put my name down.
Other councillors did.
So some of those have. So okay.
You could reword it, Chair, to
Say,
it's currently being updated.
It's currently being updated. Employees process payments instead of members. This is standard practice and councillors should not be processing payments.
The email that I received today regarding that says processing payments is signing checks.
Oh, it says starting checks. It says,
So
producing
signing
checks.
checks.
Producing checks.
That could have been an error of wording. Signing checks could be writing checks, sending back payments, things like that.
Yeah, but signing them off. Am I correct in saying that it should be at least one councillor, as well as the RFO and another?
I think our bank mandate does require at least one councillor for checks.
And checks will not be approved if one
For
councillor has
checks.
not signed it, I believe.
Financial regulations state checks or orders for payments drawn on the bank account in accordance with the schedule are presented to council or committees shall be signed by 2 members of council and countersigned by the clerk in accordance with a resolution instructing that payment. That's our own financial regulations.
2 members of council and 2 members of staff then.
Yeah, okay. Well,
It doesn't know about staff. So maybe
RFO staff.
I recommend to investigate just that one. Just look at his own financial regulations.
We don't need to investigate, we just need to change the thing to sort of say,
You're going against his own financial regulations with that answer.
obviously standard practice.
That's what we've done to
Hang on,
rectify
sorry.
it.
You don't need to worry
I
about
certainly
That's
wouldn't
what we're
expect
going to rectify it.
members of the council to have access to the banking system, let's put it
No.
that way, which is how the vast majority of our payments
We need to
are
review
made,
that.
so,
We need to review what Councillor Ryan is saying.
So it needs a better answer than it's fingered because it enters it.
I would say, as from the state, there will be following standing orders to councillors and
I believe one member staff to approve checks.
You've got to fetch it to full council to change this.
that in standing order, that in changing standing orders.
This is
so-
financial regulations.
Can we have some order, please? Kathy's got an hand up. Sorry.
You'll
Kathy?
not be able to do anything until the bank actually gives authorisation that the people that you're putting forward to sign actually can do that. So whatever, it can't be from tonight.
Oh no.
Because you've
We
got
haven't
to
got
get the
two approvals.
bank's approval, which, not being funny, that could take 2 months.
Yeah, because they don't move quickly.
Well, they'll need to do checks on the people that you're putting forward.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which means it's changing as financial regulations.
I will say that potentially it could take a little bit of time.
I mean, I have always known the amount of time we're on the council, it's only been signed by one councillor. So if we're going against our financial regulations, then we've gone against it always.
Yeah, so we need to change it.
Yeah, to one councillor.
Sean,
No, it's got to be two.
it might be worthwhile getting in contact with Barclays again and push this forward. Reason being, I received a text on Friday wanting some more information regarding the forms that I signed, and they said they would get back to me within 3 working days. Today's that 3rd working day. They still haven't got back to me. So it may be I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe worthwhile chasing Barclays up to get this done as soon as possible.
So the next item, back payment schedules were amended after being approved for payment by the council. So response is, the only amendments we're aware of are staffing such as PAYE, pensions, etc. and deposit refunds.
I brought this up in council, so it's in minutes. It should be in minutes, it's on videos about us receiving back payments and then them being changed.
We have often said that there will be some slight changes due to PAYE.
But it's supposed to come back to full council in it now.
If we vote to agree and said there may be some slight changes, if it's significant, it would then, it's not significant.
It was significant, John, when you're signing a 22 off and then it's coming out at 48, it is significant and it didn't come back to council.
Wages.
It wasn't up to do with wages, it was back. And it's all on video.
Ian?
I'll give you one example regarding that potentially happening. We signed off £55,000 for insurance, and
You've explained this now, it's been being rectified.
I explained it to you last night.
Yeah.
I didn't
Other
explain
councils
it to
don't
the
know.
public. Other councillors don't.
Okay.
Full council.
know.
Open it. Open it.
We approved that, we signed it off. With investigations, it was found that that payment was £4,000 over. It was too much.
So,
Consequently,
so we've approved 50, whatever.
Yeah.
We approved 44, we've got it for 40, so we've approved more than what we
55,
needed,
we've
so
got
what's the
51.
issue? So, whichever you figures were.
But
What
we've
about
already
Susan?
approved that, so that's where backs are being changed. It can be the other way.
Yeah, so we've gained on that one.
I know we've gained on it.
Chair, the items which come back to full council regarding the approval of all monthly payments, not just backs, they include all payments, so that would be coming back to full council for
One next, so 9. Only one councillor on the bank mandate was known to have signed any transfers or payments. The answer is this was due to necessity, which again comes down to if it's an emergency, you can do things. 10. The high value of procurements may not have been conducted in accordance with financial regulations. This would only usually happen due to, this is response, this would only usually happen due to necessity, urgency or trouble finding the required number of quotes. I believe there's been one instance where we've asked for 3 quotes and only got 1. Or is that?
Yes, I can't remember what that's for, but I think that's
Something like that has happened.
It will play well, won't it?
I don't know.
It will play well.
Sorry? I can't honestly remember.
It has happened, so yes,
We wanted
sometimes.
3, but we only got 1.
Yeah.
There was issues with the grass cutter as well.
Yeah.
Well, that again, that was
That was
due to necessity where.
That was this year's, it was 20.
That was this year's, not that would be now's, not last year's, but that was brought back to council.
I believe it was to do with Play World.
The grass cutter was for Sandygate.
Yeah.
The mower broke, it was red hot.
With the dishwasher, because it was 6,500 pounds.
9,000 put on Play World as well.
And fridge freezer, walking fridge freezer.
So again, this is due to necessity.
Quite a few.
I've done 10. The fixed asset register was reviewed during the year and a number of errors were identified. The updated register was approved by the council on the 16th of May 24, but the detailed list has not been seen or approved by the council. The response, the complete asset register was approved. I am not unsure of what else will be needed.
Signing off. So we took things off as on the asset group. We found stuff that were on the asset register that shouldn't have been on that register. Things that had been taken, lost, whatever you want to call it, that were on asset register that shouldn't have been on, so they should have been written off. There was a list made up. It should have come to council for it to be signed off to say, yeah, these are no longer on us, and it never did, and it still hasn't.
the chair. So if the council had disposed of assets, in other words, sold them or given them away, that would need to come back to council, or it needs to be approved by full council.
That's if it's over a certain figure, I believe.
Yeah, but in any case, that only refers to the disposal of assets. We're talking about assets that have been either stolen or that we or otherwise been that haven't been disposed of as such. They've just gone missing. So the asset register itself would be sufficient.
Yeah. Okay.
In that respect.
Yeah.
In that case.
So next item, the failure of the council to comply with freedom of information request deadlines and complaints over lack of transparency. The reply is complying with deadlines generally was an issue due to... Okay.
Objection 3A.
Not my piece later. The transfer of £100,000 of the reserves into the current account in August 23 without council knowledge or authority, and the transfer of a further £100,000 in February 2004 due to budget overspends. The objection 1, which is it was noted to council, but it was I agree that it was not in a timely manner.
So presumably the same response.
Same response. Yeah.
What response? Sorry, what response on this one?
Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, yeah, so the council agrees that it was reported to council, but not in a timely manner.
So when will it report to council?
10th of the 10th, 24.
It wasn't in a public meeting,
Well, it
because
should have
we
been.
didn't know about it.
It was in the AGAR meeting,
It should have been in public
the
meeting.
extraordinary AGAR meeting that it was reported. That was the first report of it.
The first report was from a member of public who asked for an FOI.
So moving on, the failure of the council to comply with freedom of information requests, deadlines and complaints of a lack of transparency. Complying with deadlines generally was an issue due to staffing. Now that has been addressed, we expect to see an improvement. So again, there was an issue, however, with increased staffing. The continued use of the general power of competence following the resignation of a qualified town clerk and the appointment of an unqualified another town clerk. Once approved, the council continues to hold general power of competence until the following annual meeting, even if it no longer meets the criteria. Since May 24, Hemsworth Town Council has not used general power of competency.
No, we've still not got general power.
We've still not got general power of competency. Next item, the failure of the council to publish results and take action in respect of the recommendations made in a report by the internal auditor following the forensic audit of 2019-20, 2021-21 and 21-22 transactions during 2023-2024. The response is the forensic audit was not a statutory audit and has no bearing on this assertion. Explanation that no assertion were published, though, since have been removed. Item E, the failure of the council to follow financial regulations in relation to direct debit payments of over £5,000 that were not approved before payment. The response is the council has little control over this, so for a bit of things like power bills that come in when they've been estimated previously and they come in, it's a direct debit, it comes straight out of bank, there's nothing a lot we can do about it. Item F, the email management system does not include the access of the town clerk to council members' emails, accounts and vice versa. Standard practice, the email can provide access, the provider can access all the emails, isn't it? The staff and councillors should not be able to see each other's emails. They should not be able to their email accounts.
Unless necessary, in which case the email provider can...
Yes, unless an email file will allow
That would be if it was a SAR, wouldn't it? An SAR. You would have to access people's emails.
I assume what Andrew's saying is, say the town clerk left the job and there was a new town clerk, then the email company be able to give access to that secondary person.
But regarding Andrew seeing the emails I've sent not emailed to him, no, we can't do that, and vice versa. We cannot just say show us all your emails. Subject to action request is different, but generally you just can't.
You would have to have access.
You have to have permission and access, yeah. But that will be done by the email provider. Objection 4, they failed to provide information requested during the public rights period during 24. The council attempted to provide all information which was available.
Can I just step in on that one? Because all information wasn't given.
It doesn't say that, it says we attempted to.
You attempted to, and Rebecca's here. She asked for information and Andrew said that he'd pass that information on and it never got to her.
Okay, but
all information that we had was, all information that we had access to was passed on. So
Do you want me to send you my notes what I took at meeting?
No, it's fine. This is, yeah. So, objection 5. The failure of the council to review the risk register and risk assessment during 23-24. So the response to the corporate risk assessment wasn't reviewed in 23-24. The council will need to review this regularly. The response is perhaps at the annual meeting. I suggest it's just moved to another meeting because the annual meeting is usually pretty full and stacked anyway. So maybe the July meeting. Yeah. As long as we pick one every year and stick to it.
Should these be, can these be done? So we get precept twice a year. So can we have these twice a year? Your risk assessments?
You could, but I think it's just...
Would there be a change to the risk assessment though?
So we should have had a risk assessment in January. There should have been a risk assessment and it should have come to council to state that we were short on wages. That should have come to full council. We had to borrow money and take money out in 2023 24. That should have come to council to say that why we needed to get this money out. So it's constantly risk assessment.
I agree, no disagreement. We are saying we'll need to do them. I think if you do them twice a year is probably a bit too much. It can always be reviewed, as in, this is risk assessment. Does it need looking at, yes or no?
I think there's evidence there that it does, like Carol said, there's evidence there that we need it twice a year. No matter how you sugarcoat it, we've had to borrow money every year, including this year.
Item B.
Just say members could ask for it to be reviewed anyway.
Yeah, could ask for it anyway. Yeah, not 6 monthly required. So, next item, significant increase in insurance costs of 23-24 when the full council did not review the insurance requirements 23-24. The full council did not review this, but the council does have a broker who reviews the insurance requirements with the clerk and deputy clerk prior to commencement. Best value is then sought by the broker.
Council did go through your insurance policy. And on that policy we were still insured for vehicles that had been sold at auction. So the insurance policy wasn't looked at properly.
So do you want to say item B, so we're dealing with facts here, the insurance policy was checked, because you just said so yourself?
I checked the policy and I brought it to chair and vice chair. I took it to clerk and deputy clerk. That's why we got the asset register going and took them all off. So in 2023, when we come in, we'd still got the tractors and everything on that had been sold at auction.
The objection says full council.
It says full council.
Full
It's
council
supposed to, it's your insurance
policy.
So
as the clerk said, the full council did not review it. And this is about the broker, so again the statement's not incorrect, we agree, so we didn't review it.
In his orders it says full councils to review
Yeah,
your
and
insurance.
we're saying we didn't, we had agreed. Objection 13. The approval of the 2022-23 AGM minutes when the meeting was inquiry. This is relating to
Fitzwilliam Centre.
So, the minutes of the AGM 18th of January, and this was confirmed last night by somebody who was there. Only 4 councillors were present, so the government document requires 5 to be coordinated, so this would appear to be true. It wasn't coordinated, so it wasn't. B. Difference between the amount stated in the council's published monthly expenditure and the items detailed in the trust fund account. This could be due to corrections made later in the year. Also, the monthly published figures aren't always broken down.
So it could be that, for example, where a payment's made, which includes an element of the council and an element of the Fitzwilliam Centre. Okay. It's not always broken down in those monthly payments, but it is in the accounts.
You've explained that.
Sorry, can I go back to A? Because apparently we do have evidence that the council was quorate when the minutes were taken for that AGM.
You said yourself last night when I bought it there.
I said there was 4 people there.
Yeah.
But according to the subsequent sheet on the back, which refers to 13A, evidence that the council was quorate when the minutes of the 22-23 AGM were approved. So that says that it was quorate.
The council that approved the minutes were quorate. However, the council meeting itself wasn't quorate, so it can't be an approved meeting.
Okay.
Item C, the accounting treatment for recharge and expenses incurred on behalf of the trust. The council budgets for trust expenditure as a contingency, as the trust doesn't always have funds to cover expenses. When this is the case, the council covers the cost and it is treated as council expenditure. Where the trust does have the funds, they are transferred back to the council and treated as a trust expenditure. Oh.
Does that mean, for like for this year, the trust has got money in its bank account, Hemsworth Town Council's paid so much, have they touched the trusters fund and took that money out to compensate for the bills? Has Fitzwilliam Trust Fund been touched this year?
Not this year, no. Oh, so not by the council, no. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the trust did buy, I think, some selection boxes or something like that using its own money, using money from the trust's bank account, but it wasn't paid by the council and then reclaimed from the trust. It came directly from the trust's bank account.
I believe that was approved, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would have
Yeah, that was
I think it was approved.
good in the
Yeah.
meeting. I mean. The inclusion of the trust expenses with the council's 23-24 AGAR. Little John's advised that the expenditure incurred by the council on behalf of the trust was not necessarily trust expenditure, and as long as payments from the trust account aren't included in the council accounts, it is fine.
Did we check that? We checked that because at the AGM meeting at Fitzwilliam, it stated that the trust had to have its own bills, its own everything, its own bank account and everything.
It has got its own bank account.
The trust does have to have its own bank account, yeah.
And its own bills.
Not necessarily, no. No, the council.
Can you just check that then?
I can, what?
It's never before.
Never, yeah.
It hasn't, and also, yeah, yes, I can get confirmation of that, but it is, yeah, no.
I mean, I thought you personally have that the council pays the bills rather than the trust fund. Maxine, got your hand up?
Can we go back to where they took money out of trust? When did that
It was voted on where they were going to get some selection boxes and we were going to buy it out of the trust.
The council one.
No, I believe it. We'll have to check that, but I believe it was taken out of the trust.
It's never happened before, that.
It hasn't happened before, no. I think that's the first time that has happened.
Yeah, because normally what happens is, what's happened in the past is the trust has an amount of money and the HTC pays for everything up at Fitzwilliam, and then an amount is
Taken
then taken from there and put into HTC.
That's correct, Chair, yeah.
That is correct. Is that correct? Is that more?
Where were we? That was
No,
13D.
Can I just ask? When it says Little John's advised, does that not mean our auditor advised?
Yeah.
It should be Karen King, shouldn't it?
Karen King
It
advised.
should be.
I will check that. I'm near certain it was Little John. I asked for advice.
Okay.
On that.
Okay, check that. So item E, a grant of £1,000 for the purchase of a cooker given to the trust by the council that was unspent as the year end was being held by the council. The grant was received in the council's bank account. It should have been paid to the trust account.
We're not sure why that.
We're not sure why it's happened. However, the £1,000 was transferred to the trust as part of the year end recharge in March 2022. So this is no longer being held by the council.
That is
I know
checking.
that one because we're going to buy a cooker for.
Yes.
But Fitzwilliam said and Alan said he got it repaired instead.
Okay.
So we were waiting and they were going to buy it, see whether it needed to buy a new cooker.
Okay, so it's obviously sat there and then
And it's just sat there,
and
yeah.
then it's come in and it's been transferred back.
Got suspended.
Yes, it's been transferred back in.
And
Got lost, didn't we?
at the meeting at Fitzwilliam Centre, this was brought up in 2023, 24, 23, 24, it's on video. I don't think it was you, Andrew. It was other clerk that stated that this money was held in Hemsworth Town Council's account that were in 23, 24.
That may have been stated. Having checked the accounts, it definitely looks like it. Well, £1,000 was received in grant money and then transferred out at the year end into the trust's accounts.
That will be a minute, won't it, for that meeting?
Possibly.
I can show you the journal if you like where it was.
Transaction should be on bank sheet.
Yeah.
Keep asking for.
Oh, just if I might make sure, it won't show on the bank statements because it would have been a net transfer. So the trust funds expenditure would have been transferred back to the council, and the income transferred the other way. So it would be a net transfer.
My concern is that as answers are here, but as videos of meetings are saying different to what we're answering.
So if I can share, yeah, I can provide the journal where that was done,
Yeah.
which is the accounts will say that, and that really is to be taken as truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mistakes can be made in meetings.
So regarding the to consider response to external auditors, so the response has been considered, and is there a vote on this to approve? Or?
Yeah.
So
Can I ask, sorry, regarding the changes in some of these answers?
So I'm going to say approve.
We will see them. Are we going to be sent them by email so that we can approve them?
Certainly can.
Well, I won't say we need to approve, I say we need to approve it. So my motion is going to be to approve the responses subject to the changes required.
But they never come back to full council, so
we don't have to, because it's subject, so as long as Andrew makes the change required, he doesn't have to come back to council.
But then you're saying...
He's got delegated authority to do that.
You're saying everything we said today you would have taken into consideration and send it off, amended, but council still need to see what you've amended before it goes off, before it's sent off
that
to...
can be done easily enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to do all that, but yes, we will.
So we don't need a vote then until we've seen it amended?
No, we need to vote now to prove it.
Right. So, if the deadline for a response is the 27th of May,
and you can ask for an
I
extension.
can ask for an extension.
Yeah.
I'm going to
But
propose.
the council would have to make that decision.
I'm going to propose that we accept these responses subject to the changes that have been requested. Have I got a seconder for that?
Can't vote on them.
Seconder, all for? Those against? And then there's abstention.
Andrew, could I just ask, if you don't ask for
We're
an
in the middle.
extension,
We're in the middle of the vote. So go
It-
ask
it
the
doesn't-
question, yeah.
sure it can count. You only want abstention for that.
Councillors Allroyd and McGuinness abstain. Councillors Kendall, Hardacre, Rushmer and both Middletons voted in favour, and Councillors Whitehead, Fernie, Bates, Dodson and Conway voted against. That's 5 apiece.
5 apiece. So again, I proposed it, so the chair vote, as I said, to respond with the responses with the amendments requested, and then obviously just also follow that to email to council. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question now?
Yeah.
Andrew, if you're not asked for an extension and the deadline comes, what happens if you miss the deadline?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely certain. I would think, well, we'd certainly be charged for a chase-up. We'd receive a chase-up letter which we'd be charged for, and it could alter the outcome of the audit as well.
Are you confident in responses in time?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Do you need a council resolution to, if required, request an extension?
No, just to be clear, Chair, that the council has just voted to respond as per this document with the amendments suggested in this meeting. So no, I can do, well, I'll send it to councillors tomorrow probably, and
send it
then
to council tomorrow and get it sent off.
And then well, I'll send it. Certainly.
Okay, so moving on to the next one,
Yeah, I have a
item
question
number
on-
6. That
I
motion.
did have my hand up while you were talking.
That part motion has been passed.
Yeah, I just have a question on that though. As a council, have we reached out to this person to come in and talk about it, see if there's anything we can do?
At the time, as I said, the stated both yourself and Councillor McGuinness asked me to get in touch. I did get in touch, and the response I got was, you seem to think that if you speak to me, then I will retract these, what do you call it, objections. And I says, well, that's what I've been told off Callum here. She says, they are wrong, this is going in anyway.
So
And it was then sent the day or 2 days after.
This is from Little John's, and it states on here, if you wish to withdraw any or all your objections from the AGAR from 22-23 to get in touch. All it took was for us to sit down with this lady.
Who said she wasn't doing it? She told us-
No, this
Have
is
you got an
dated.
email saying
I got an email way back when saying they seem to think that we're doing these, and she's told me several. She told me she wasn't doing it.
I'll ask again, have you
So I'm gonna
contacted
vote-
this
no,
lady
I am
from,
moving.
from this AGAR, what Little Johns have sent you to respond to? Have you asked this, to speak to this lady?
No, because the email stated that she had to remove the so
person.
she had the option, that the person had the option to retract them. They did ask that several times.
So,
So it's not up to me to say I'm going to retract them to that person.
no, but as a council, we could have approached this lady and sat down, this person and sat down and spoke
She said
to
she
sort
didn't
it
want
out.
to.
She's told me she didn't want it early January.
You're not
I'm-
listening.
No, you're not
When
listening.
did you, when did
I'm
you get
moving
this?
progress to the next item. That item has been passed and voted on.
I'm sending mine.
Send your report in. Send what you like in. Anyone is welcome to send
Let's
it.
not put her hand up to
Right, can I
talk.
have a point of order, please? Come on.
She.
So, item 6, financial management. To discuss and review all finances from May 23 to April 25 and to consider an external investigation into the financial management. Councillor Conway?
Yeah, that was mine, but I'm not to say, I asked for an extraordinary meeting on this.
This is an extraordinary meeting.
No, I thought, one separate, because it's too big a thing to do.
No.
Just, read the email. You get the emails, you don't read them, that's
Councillor
problem.
Conway, a council requests a extraordinary meeting.
Which I did 3 weeks ago.
It's up to the chair to see if he wants to approve that request.
You
I
approve it.
approve that request. And this is an extraordinary meeting and we are now holding this.
Right, what was my request then? My request, can I have an extraordinary meeting to discuss this? Not an agenda item, because it's too big a thing.
It's not an agenda item, it's a... Do you want to discuss this or not?
But no, well,
Kevin, did you put an agenda in?
yes,
Did you put an agenda in
Yeah.
for your extraordinary meeting?
yes.
Did you pass for these other items to be on your
No,
extraordinary meeting?
I said I wanted an
The
extraordinary
chair
meeting.
has called an extraordinary meeting, these will have to be put on. That has
You
been
didn't
done.
call
That has
extraordinary
been done. Hang on,
You did call it.
look at your name. On top of there.
The extraordinary meeting was called by Councillor Kevin Conway. He sent
Sorry.
an agenda
Hang
in,
on.
Requested by Councillor
Requested.
Conway.
I call it.
Called by...
but you
If
can't
I-
add on to his
if-
agenda.
No, I can.
No, you can't.
So, Councillor Conway, to discuss the financial management, to
Yeah.
discuss and review all finances from May 23, 25, and consider external investigation into financial management.
It's apparent tonight we're reading those responses to objections, which could have been dealt with.
Right, we're not on about that one because we've explained
Well,
that.
that's why I want an extraordinary meeting, because
We've got one now.
No, an external investigation, because that will wrap everything up.
We have an external internal investigation of one coming very soon.
I want an external one, not an internal one. Because I
think-
also wanted
haven't we had a vote on this before?
No, I also wanted to change the person who compiles the AGAR, because the AGAR has been faulty for the last 3 or 4 years.
That is the clerk's job.
So I can't request.
You can request, but it's the clerk's job. You also requested that the MO chair this meeting. The MO was just not responding to my request.
Right. Okay then, but my opinion is, no respect that the internal auditor were at fault last year for this AGAR.
You mean the
as
fully
well.
qualified internal auditor?
Yeah, by a fully qualified, and you said in a meeting, go with her, because if there's any problems, she'll get fined, not us. That Karen King, yes you did.
Didn't quite say it like that.
Yeah, well, you did. That's what
Didn't
you
quite
intimated.
say it like that.
Yeah, but you did, sure.
Not quite.
Not quite, but that's what you intimated on.
No.
So, obviously, no charge will come to
Can
us.
we have a
because
point
of
of
the-
order
Yeah.
with him?
Kathy?
Not to do your butter.
Councillor Conway, can you please stop? I mean, also, can you just not butt into each other? Kathy?
Can I remind a councillor that when the public wanted a forensic audit and the councillor raised and said, what would we actually achieve if it was going to cost us £15,000 to only find, say, £5,000? And I believe the councillor that actually made that statement in a meeting, which will be on record, is the person that has actually put this on the agenda. So I'd like to know why you've suddenly changed your opinion.
I'll answer that. I haven't changed mine. I voted for a forensic audit.
No, you didn't.
No, you don't point at me, I
No,
did.
no, you
I know what I voted
Councillor
for.
Conway, can you please...
No, you didn't.
calm
You
down.
actually said you were against having a forensic audit.
No, you're wrong.
I'm not.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Maxine, would you like to...
Maybe we should have a forensic audit for May 23, 24. Because I think
What's she saying, Chair? I
we
can't
need some
hear that.
explanation.
She's saying maybe we should have a forensic audit for 23-24 because that's when the £200,000.
And
We
24-25.
still haven't got them explanations on what exactly happened. All you keep telling us is it happened, and that isn't good enough for public
I'm
anymore.
reading on social media that it's now £200,000. It's gone from the community's money reserve and none of it's been paid.
See, we were led to believe it were only £100,000 in August. Until somebody decided to let us know that it was twice.
I think we made it clear it was August and
We're
February.
not actually saying that the money's
It's gone.
gone.
And I've said that it has not been.
But we don't know what it has actually been
Even though we've been accused
I mean,
of saying it.
let's just say there's probably 70,000 due to, let's just say staffing costs, additional staffing costs. If you work that out. And that's all I'm saying there. I'm not saying nothing else. I'm not going to expand on anything else there.
But I'm going to expand. So why this man was not an RFO? Well,
I'm
why
not going to
was he
discuss
paid
that.
so much money of our money?
I can't discuss that. I wasn't on the council when it was set up.
Well,
Yeah,
this is what needs to be explained, because there's that many conflictions with stuff they're coming out with on Facebook. We need to know why that man or the
we can't discuss
acting
staff.
clerk got so much money if he was not a proper officer and if he was unqualified, because one minute is they're saying he was, the next minute they're saying he wasn't.
That certainly wouldn't be.
It's not a
There's
legal
nothing,
requirement.
nothing to investigate there.
I never said he wrote to investigate.
No.
I said we want to
know
know.
where the money's gone.
We want to know where our money's gone.
It is your money, yes.
Well, maybe what council
Yeah, can I
Conway
just
suggested
say
would
one
clear
thing?
that up.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, when the other town clerk was suspended, I stood up in a meeting and said I didn't want anything to do with any of this. Right, and I wanted to, and it went on record, and it was shown, and it was minuted.
We need to stop talking about even past that.
You said that it did come to me. It did come to take about the first 100,000. Did it come for the second?
It all come out.
Yeah,
It all come out at the same time in the
Hey, go review.
meeting that is.
So it didn't come. It didn't come. It didn't come to council until it was shown on the AGAR.
Yes.
It did come to council.
No, I'll
It was wrong what they
I'll
did.
tell you when it comes to like Maxine, when I got the chair and we had the town council meeting and we
So,
were like, yeah,
Why can't we have an investigation on that
Can't
alone?
we?
That come to light with a member
I
of
want an
public.
investigation on that alone, and I want to know why they did what they did.
yeah, so just to answer Carol there, it came to light when we was reading out that there were only £70,000 in reserves. That's when it came to light in the meeting.
A member of public got all the replies from a FIO, FOI, sorry, and it come out, it was 200. August, February.
Yeah.
It did not come to full council, councillors were not aware for it, it didn't come to council
But we've not said it hasn't. It's all,
until the April, May.
yeah.
10th of
Who gives you authority in? Go on, tell Jules now.
No, we're not. If we start doing that, I'll shut the meeting down because we're not discussing things like that in this meeting, can
It's
it?
been
So
discussed
please do
before,
not
it's
answer that
declared
question.
before who's done it on several occasions,
So
haven't you?
why-
You may have said it on several occasions, but we're not saying it now.
So why on social media are they stating that all the
Who's
councils?
they?
Who's they?
Who's
Clarify.
they?
All the council's fault when most of them didn't know.
That's
Because
a
we
good
were
point.
still liable as councillors.
That's a good
They're
point.
not still liable.
They are.
If they did not vote on it,
So-
you need to hit hard
Sorry,
back
that's not.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
none
no,
of the council is
I
responsible.
went round
It's,
council.
The council is responsible as a.
Did you know
I know, you're right.
It's,
You're
I
right.
actually-
if they know about it and they voted on
Let's
it.
have an
Well, you're pointing
investigation.
it.
I'm just saying to you,
So,
Don't
Tina, can I,
Can I ask
right,
a question, but don't point.
don't point when you're calling a woman.
point of order,
You
please.
misogynist, like.
Point of order, please. Please, let's just keep it calm.
I bet
That's
you
what
don't
you
think
think
they'll
of
stop
women.
meaning it, will
All I'm
they?
saying is, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, it's what the one
Chair,
thing.
is this out of order?
Just one.
Yes, there's quite a few out of order, including yourself.
Out of my out of order, she's pointing a finger at me
I was
ignorantly.
saying that I'd
Tina,
asked you
right, everybody be quiet, please. If I'm
Get a
gonna,
grip, man. I was in charge, that's
Julie?
supposed to be.
No, I think they are.
Julie,
Someone that checks the account.
You, shut up, you.
that's out of order
Have you
as
just
well.
told the member of the parish to shut up?
No, told me to shut up.
Telling her to drink, because all she'll do is come out with a mouthful like she did last time she said, oh.
All I said was, you were much.
Point of order, please. The member of the public wants to ask a question, please. Sorry, Vicky, I'll let you come back there, but you are correct. The council should not be abusing the councillors. It's not the first time it's happened this side.
Can I first ask, please, which I've asked at several meetings, why has there been no update of any accounts to check the spending since September 24? Where are all the accounts? So the public can actually see what's been taken out. We've heard so much that it's all in 23-24. So I'm going to ask the question, is it too late for a full forensic audit, or should the police be brought in? Because it's council money, community money, that now has been mismanaged. And nobody, not one of you, are taking responsibility, apart from putting this on social media and that on social media. This is community money. And it's a lot of money. We're not talking a few thousand. It looks like we're talking over £200,000. Where has that money been spent? If the accounts are not on, the public, where's the open and transparency? The public are not being able to see what that money's been spent on.
This is what the person who sent the objections in were trying to get to.
See, you're responsible for this. You need to go to Yale and you need to report this council. Like we stated before with Kenyon, you need to report this council.
Okay. Well, please explain what and I'll do it.
Where the money's
It's mismanagement of community funds.
I'll go and report that. If that's what it's like, I'll report it to Al, which will then answer your question about an audit, because Al will look into it then.
Yeah.
Okay, so all four reporting mismanagement of that year, of the 1 years from then till now.
The item is May 2023 to April 2025.
Okay. So, all for that?
I'll propose it.
So, well, this is what we need. Roughly,
Can I ask how much this is going to cost us? Because literally we have no money, no zero presets, and cancelled all sorts of stuff already.
That was one of my questions, Chair, is what's been proposed? What is being proposed?
There's no on.
Okay, so do we propose that we get a price?
This was put forward well before, and then you said you were going to get a price. We got a price, it would be £6 grand, and we said no.
Yeah. We need to check that's not been last 6 months. We'll get a price for the investigation.
So basically, we're just up shit creek.
We've
happened in 23-24.
We've not made a secret of that. We're up shit creek.
If the decision is going to
we're
depend
never going to get the answers
on the cost share, then the item will need to be deferred and brought back.
Okay, so the item is going to be the council goes to do that, and then it'll come back to the council for approval of the investigation.
You know what? I've just said I would welcome one if we had the money to pay for one, but because we've got zero presets, some people voted for it. It got passed. We have not got that, and we've cancelled absolutely loads of community stuff. And I get, I would welcome, but what is it going to cost us?
But then they're getting away with it.
Well, then, that's why the motion is for the clerk to go away, get some prices, and then come back to the council.
Is the motion already in on paper for it?
But you've had this before. You've had it every year, and what happens is it comes down to the cost of how much it's going to cost and what you'll actually get back from.
I mean, I'm not being funny. You're gonna say you're being training. You've got two councils in here on that year who are supposed to be experienced councillors, but actually did it. Now you're telling me you're going to give them more training.
They've got to accept the training. First.
But that ain't good enough for us. It's not good enough for us.
You know as well as I do that once people have been elected, then there's not a lot you can do. And it's
still not good enough that you're just going to give them training for when, I mean, one's been, 6 years? 5 years.
Can I just bring it back to the motion, Chair?
Yeah.
So we're going to get a price for an investigation into financial management between those dates.
Still, we think it's
What,
not adding, not
what
an
scope
internal
are
one.
we
So,
giving?
again, so what scope are we giving these?
I think you need to look at your finances first before you go.
Yeah, but you keep saying you can't afford not to,
Yeah.
don't you? You can't afford to do it.
You know
But what, so
You can't afford not to do it.
in response, so there was in the 2019 influx, they paid a lot of money for the so-called forensic audit. It wasn't a forensic audit, it wasn't just an audit. I believe there was another audit that we had, Maxine, that cost us about £4,000.
Yeah.
They all found next to nothing.
So if there's no reimbursement of funds, it just makes it a witch hunt.
Yeah.
Well, what good?
Well, they've done enough witch hunting.
Tina, let's not be
That's what it is.
Honestly,
Not
They're
going to
alive,
get anything from it.
honestly.
Right, so
Excuse me, Councillor Dawson, could you please let public speak?
We'll do it outside.
These are
We'll do it outside.
these are people who you're supposed to represent as being a Fitzwilliam councillor.
So if we can't afford an audit, I want to know what punishment,
Well, when the
what
block
punishment
and
we
everything,
can
how can
give
I
them. I
talk
want
to
to
them?
know how far we can go.
So,
Legally, I think.
As a council, we are guided by our RFO, that's what it's there for.
dropping your mate in it.
The RFO is there to advise us.
They don't. They don't listen. They can't.
But you were telling us that they wanted a qualified RFO, so why would he?
We're getting
Never
to
said
the.
anything like that.
Oh, well, it got to them.
Can we have some more, please? We're talking about staff and even previous staff. We can't discuss
Hey,
it
what?
to the level that we're talking to.
I once
He's
again.
laughing down here.
So let's just get this
What
motion.
is it against law to laugh?
Yeah, they are.
Laughing.
So
Is it
I
against
know what
law
they're trying to
to
do.
laugh?
They're trying to get me to cancel a meeting, and I've never done it yet. So that's all they're trying to do. So just ignore them. So bringing it back, councillors, bringing it back to the motion. So what is the motion is to seek the cost for a financial audit from May 23 to April 25. Is that what you want?
And the scope.
An external one, not an internal one.
Yeah, that's what we've just said.
The last one was done by Karen King.
So
She actually
it will always be done. So can you please, you are questioning somebody's credentials and integrity there. So please stop it. As we've just said, to see get the cost, which would infer we're going to get a company to do it.
An external one.
Can we go from April 23?
And we're not having.
Strictly speaking, that needed a vote to change the motion.
Yeah, so that needs a vote change.
They want a motion into vote on anyway.
It is.
Can
They
I
want
just
the
make a
consent
point?
You
agenda.
can do it.
The clerk is talking about the scope for the audit, but obviously, the narrower you make the scope, the cheaper the audit.
Yes.
The wider you make it, the more expensive the audit. Now, got to take those things into consideration before you go any further.
So I think so. If councillors agree, I should think we should defer this until the councillors come up with an actual scope for what they want the audit. We've got the dates, so the dates are set. We'll guess what you wanted from this audit.
Yeah.
An actual scope, rather than just a wide-ranging blunderbuster. Let's see what is required. And again, if anybody else in the public thinks there's something that they should, then email me.
May 23 to February 24.
Just as an example, Chair, just so members know what the works on it, the last time a large-scale audit was done, the scope was to look at all payments above a certain figure. I think it was £300. I could be wrong about the amounts. But that was the scope of it. So every payment within that period over a certain amount, just to give you an idea of what the scope was last time. So it doesn't have to be the same this time.
Yeah,
just to
that's
give you
an idea. And
just to give you an idea
That's
of
the
what.
point. The narrower the scope, the more is going to get missed.
It is. Can I just say though, these type of audits will not capture what I feel these are wanted.
Exactly.
Is regarding, and the public are wanting, is regarding how was the money transferred. This is just going to say, has it been done? Yes, it has, or no, it hasn't.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I
Will
think-
they get the answers that the public are asking for? And I don't think it will. It's just a witch hunt.
done that a few times, Chair. I will do it again, yeah.
So I've just asked the clerk to say that the year that they're discussing about the overspends, to get the information on what was overspenditure of the larger figures, if you like.
I think that's what
needs to be done.
This has been said before. I don't think it probably didn't go enough, but we're going to look at that again. As a timeline, as I will say, it is a very busy period for council. It's all regarding the financial period and the year-end type stuff. So it'll not be, well, I can't see it being for the main meeting, the annual council meeting, but maybe the June one after that? Or is that too early?
June should be fine, Chair.
June should be fine, but if it's going to be a bit later, we'll let people know.
Over regard in June.
Yeah. Kathy?
Are we actually looking at, rather than what has been spent, but whether it's been wasteful mismanagement? That's probably
A better,
the correct word.
yes.
And whether proper procedure.
Yeah, so if something had been illegally used or...
I'm not saying that.
No, I know, what I'm saying is, if something had gone missing, then that would have been picked up by the ranking audits. So we know there's no, and we've said, we've quoted this many times, there's no money gone missing, it's all there.
Chair, in terms of an investigation or an audit, I'm not sure how an auditor or investigator would determine that.
That's what we're trying to get to.
It's very much subjective.
What we're saying is, as proper procurement procedures being followed.
Yes,
that's
could
what
be.
you're
That
actually
could be.
saying that's happened.
Yeah, so...
These are wanted to know, public's wanted to know what this 200,000 were used for.
What that year, that overspending?
Yes, we don't know what it were used for, because it hadn't come to us. So maybe...
Who's we?
Order.
I don't know if a breakdown of that amount has ever come to council officially. I've certainly sent it to some councillors and at least one member of the public as an FOI request. So the information is there.
So can find the information out and collate it. Yeah.
Maybe
Well, in that case, if the member of the public has got it as an FOI, you can actually give it to the full public.
Yes.
Because
It's not confidential or anything. There's no.
Because the freedom of information you can then put out there. So really, there is no reason why the rest of the public can't.
So again, I think the easiest thing first is to try and dig out that, what you said, that FOI, and just check it back against other things. So we're deferring it to get this information out to the public, to collate this information, and then send it out to the public. I don't know how you want it sending. How you want it?
Update all accounts. If all the accounts are updated, there's nothing on since the 30th of September 24. Not 3 month batches like it was done from 1st of June to 30th of September, which I mentioned in the last one of the finance committee meetings. Them accounts should be on monthly. As soon as you sign them off, the public have a right to see the expenditure for HTC funds, community funds, and a copy put up on the notice board in the precinct. So all members of the public can actually see what the community money is being spent on.
That's something we're looking to talk about, definitely.
Because a lot of the elderly
So the
that's been sorry for that. Go on, sorry.
So it needs to be put up in the public venue where people can see it, because a lot of the elderly cannot access internet.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting we put it on Facebook at all, because there's nothing on Facebook.
I think it's in financial regulations, it's got notice boards.
So just to clarify the financial management, so it's going to be deferred, but we're going to get where the 200,000 overspenditure has gone.
Being spent on it.
Yes, that's nice. And now I'll come back to the council, and then we'll look at the financial.
And also, Sean, why the public wasn't told about that when it was happening.
Yeah.
Because we,
Not all councils go as well, we didn't know.
We kept asking these questions, and we've never been told what it is. All we've been told is that it has been spent.
Yep. It should have been
It should have,
the clerk at the time should have published that, and the meeting should have passed through. I don't agree with it.
It wasn't the clerk with those questions.
I think it's only more staffing, but when we say staffing, we can't divulge into.
And what staffing is, yeah.
yeah,
So-
but as Andrew's just turned around and said, someone's actually sent in freedom of information. That information has been given to that person.
Oh yeah, that's what you.
So it can actually be told.
Well, it'll say the highest cost would be staffing, but it wouldn't have a breakdown of staffing and what was spent and who got what.
Andrew's just stated what was spent on staffing on that.
Yeah, but we can't break it. We can't break it down.
It just gets.
There'll be no breakdown of
We
who
don't
got
want.
what
They don't
and-
want a breakdown. You've just stated to public that it were over 70,000 for wages.
No, it's a wages. This is a staffing cost around £6,000.
Right. So.
But we
that's
can't
it.
break it. We can't break it down to wages to whatever.
So they want to know where over 130 is being spent.
They want to know where it all is.
Yeah, easily done.
Easy done.
Right.
Okay, everybody. So if that's Kath's last question, then we'll.
You know, in something that you were reading out, you said that an auditor has found, did you say 60 or 80,000 or something?
No.
It was 55,000.
The person who put in the they says there was an £80,000 difference and there wasn't. And the audit said, I think that's correct. We can't get it.
No.
No. So yeah, we're not saying the auditor found it. We're saying the person who
The auditor did find it.
yes, the person who put this in, this complaint in, the auditor didn't find it. The auditor says no, there's nothing. The accounts match basically. So there can't be £80,000 missing if the accounts match. Right, everybody. So thank you for your time, and that's meeting finished.